Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Within Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone, we obviously have a handful of different movement settings, especially for a controller when it comes to your sprinting mechanics and your sliding / your diving mechanics. And while we have the set default options available in our settings that we've gone over from time to time already, there are a few sort of quirks or features or bugs, who really knows at this point, going on with some of the movement settings in this game that actually give you a distinct advantage if you know how to basically enforce the bug and make it happen so that it actually works in your favor rather than hinders your gameplay. So today I wanted to break this down a little bit more in detail because it actually could be super useful for your movement in game. As we get into it, if you enjoy the video or if you find it helpful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, let's change that, because every single day I got you covered with news, updates, gameplay breakdowns, loadouts, everything going on in COD is right here. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. So what we're focusing on here is kind of a combination of two different movement mechanics. The first one's going to be your automatic sprint, whether you're using basic automatic sprint or automatic tac sprint, and then also your slide and dive behavior. Now, newly updated here with Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone with the integration this year are various new options for your slide and dive behavior. Before, like last year, it was just either tap to slide or tap to dive. So you could press your slide button once, like for instance, for me, it's my thumbstick, right? I would tap that once and I'd do my slide. Or back in Warzone 2, obviously, because sliding was basically useless, it was tap to dive. And then in that case, it's the inverse for the other mechanic. I'd be holding my thumbstick in to then slide, or tap to slide, I'd be holding it to dive. Now this year we've got slide only, which gives you the option to only ever slide. You are not supposed to be able to dive whatsoever. Then the inverse of dive only, where you never slide, and I wouldn't recommend ever using that because obviously slide canceling this year is the more favorable movement, whereas diving is more so like meant for evasive purposes or momentum gaining purposes when like pulling your parachute and whatnot. But slide only has been what I've been using for some time, and there is a specific reason behind this that's actually been broken down in detail. So big shout out to the homie J God, obviously super good when it comes to specific in-game detailed stats. He's always testing very detailed stuff there, and he recently did like a full-on breakdown of movement within MW3 and Warzone. Really went in depth on a lot of different mechanics there, and within his testing he was going through the various different slide and dive behaviors and discovered the responsiveness between our two main settings that you want to be focusing on for Warzone and MW3, which is sliding obviously. So slide only and tap to slide would be the two ones that you'd be looking at there. And he found that with slide only, the responsiveness to actually trigger your slide or your slide cancel when pressing in on whatever your slide button is. For the sake of this video, it's my thumbstick again. It's a 100 millisecond response to actually slide, so it does make sliding more responsive. Now if you have tap to slide and hold to dive, it basically delays your slide animation by 100 milliseconds. It's 200 milliseconds responsiveness there. So you actually have an input delay when using tap to slide, which is why so many players are using slide only. You want that snappy, that quick slide cancel option. You don't want to have that wonky input delay or the chance of messing that up and that ruining your movement. You get more dead slides with tap to slide. You get more momentum stopping situations with tap to slide on, which is why so many people have gone for slide only. Obviously though, the problem with this is that, as it says in game, it's supposed to completely disable your dive, which in certain situations can be catastrophic. If you're trying to gain momentum to jump off a roof and get your parachute, and so you have a further distance there and you can't dive to get that kind of sucks. If you're trying to evade bullets and you need to dive, you can't do that, it kind of sucks. If you're trying to like dive into water, for instance, you can't do that, it kind of sucks. But there's a workaround behind this that is now 100% guaranteed. So we're gonna go ahead and load on it into a private match here really quick. And as we do so, obviously a big complaint this year with the slide only mechanic is that there is actually a bug in game where you're not just sliding only. You do actually dolphin dive, even though you have slide only set as an input, which a lot of players have been very vocal. Hey, why is this bug in the game? Why is this glitch in the game where I'm still diving in situations where I have slide only on? And that's been a hindrance to gameplay. Well, that's largely because players didn't know what they were doing that was causing this random dive mechanic to actually happen in game. But now that we've had the game accessible to us for some time, players have figured out, I'm not sure who the first one was, but credit to whoever that was, players have actually figured out what exactly is going on now that is causing this random dive mechanic. So as you can see in game, I'm running around, I've got my controller, I have auto tac sprint on, so I only have to press forward on my left stick to get my tac sprint going, and obviously I have tap to slide, so whenever I just tap my right right stick once, I do my slide, and I can quickly slide cancel throughout that nice and easy, right? Now, here's the thing. You'll notice that when I'm sliding only, even if I were to hold my right thumbstick in, I still just get a longer slide, right? Well, how about this? What if I go ahead and I randomly dolphin dive? Now, that's a situation where players are, let's say, mid gunfight, you know, you're fighting, you're trying to slide cancel up to them, but then suddenly you're randomly pushing, and then you dive, and this takes away your ability to shoot. Now you're prone on the ground. It leaves you vulnerable to that enemy. Players don't want that happening. Well, here's the situation that is now causing this to happen. Players have gone through and figured out that when you use slide only and you go through and you press your sprint button, so if you have auto attack sprint on, that means pressing forward on your thumbstick or pressing in on your thumbstick if you have like single tap to sprint to whatever with automatic sprints, and your slide button at the same time, that's what's going to cause this dive. So if I press forward on both of them, I then dive after about that same delay that would happen is if I had, you know, tap to slide on instead of slide only. So now I know how I can use this mechanic to my advantage in fights. If I'm trying to, you know, jump off a ledge because I want momentum, obviously it won't work here in multiplayer because the lack of parachutes, but if I wanted to jump off this and gain momentum, I know I could do that nice and easy and get my parachute pull off of a roof. Or if I needed to, you know, escape an enemy here and I need to quickly dive around a corner, I know that I can quickly do this now, slide whenever I need to, but then start, I'll get that dive going. Now, it's something that's going to take a lot of muscle memory because if you're in the middle of slide canceling and then you're trying to do that, you really have to basically stop your momentum to then start it again, but it's now a mechanic that you can control. There's been so much confusion as to why this bug is happening where you're getting these dolphin dives that players just couldn't figure out. Now that we know about it, it's something you can actually work into your gameplay. Now, truth be told, this is probably an exploit. It's probably a bug, and it's not intended that we are dolphin diving when we have the slide only option on here. That said, until they fix it, this is now a mechanic that you can use to your advantage sort of secretly since it's not supposed to be here. And it's something that you can now tether into your gameplay with the other movements and have a much smoother experience. You don't have to, why was I tack sprinting and there was something going on at the bottom of my screen? Are there green bullets at the bottom of my screen? Weird glitch there. Anyways, as I was saying, sorry, I got distracted. Now with this being, you know, a system that we figured out and we know what we're doing, you can have the snappier slide cancel. You don't have to worry about using tap to slide and having a crazy, ridiculous delay on your slide cancel. If you're trying to quickly get this in your movement, you know, use it to your advantage, you can now have a nice snappy slide cancel and still have the ability to do this quick dolphin dive if you can focus on implementing that muscle memory into your gameplay of using sprint and slide at the exact same time to trigger that. So sort of a neat little secret setting that's going on here in game that now we have a lot more knowledge about and we've really figured out why it's happening as it is, and it makes it so that now in your gameplay you can be a little bit more efficient across the board with whatever movement mechanic you want to be using, whether it is sliding, which is obviously much more favorable for a lot of gunfights, or diving, which is pretty favorable in certain situations. So that being said, that's going to wrap things up for this one. Hopefully this video helped you out. If it did, do me a favor, drop a like on it. It would be really appreciated. And if you're new here, you want to guarantee that every single day you're up to date with all things going on in COD, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.